the essence of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent.
How many men have children and the children never meet their father? See, you created a void in that child because you are a part of that child.
Black power! Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Are you feeling fatigued and can barely make it through the day without some type of caffeine?
Are you on a journey of healing your body but need a little help?
Then alkaline water is what you really need.
Alkaline water has many benefits. Alkaline water can help restore pH balance in the body. Consuming beverages such as soda and coffee can make your body acidic.
Did you know that too much acid in your body has been linked to an anemia, heart disease, obesity, diabetes, autoimmune disease, chronic pain, and other chronic conditions like gout and arthritis?
Those who use alkaline water have reported increased energy levels, clearer skin, reduction in inflammation, better digestion, and many other health benefits. I've used alkaline water for years, and it's been instrumental in sustaining my health when I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis.
Are you ready to take responsibility for your body's health?
If the answer is yes, then our alkaline water is just what you need. Bring your own bottles. It's only $3 for each gallon. To place an order or for more information, you can reach us at 773-846-3091. Thank you in advance for your support.
Hi, my name is Sister Ebony Stevenson. I am your announcer for today. Welcome to the Toma Nation's weekly Sunday worship service from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. every Sunday at 616 East 71st Street here in Chicago, Illinois, and also live on Facebook. If you would like more information, you can reach us at www.facebook.com/TomaNation2 or give us a call at 773-952-8302. Now I am going to recite our opening. In the name of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent, the one who directs the sunships of millions and trillions of years, and the one who made time the seed of the universe, known among the ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aten, among the Hebrews as Ansar, Yahweh, and Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims and Islamic world as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah Rastafari, among the Yoruba tribes of West Africa as Odumare, Eshu, and many other Orisha names. I bear witness that all of these names refer to the same one, Almighty Spirit, and it is to that essence which I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we, the descendants of those black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, are the Lost 13 tribe, born in North America and are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the earth flows through our veins. I greet you in the ancient but holy words of peace, Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Habaragani, Alafia, and Ashe. Now I am going to recite the 13 points of what we believe and know. Number 1. We believe and know that we are not to repeat the mistakes of the past prophets and messengers of the Almighty Creator of the heavens and earth. Number 2. We believe and know that we can only establish an economic base through the application of the knowledge of self and the incorporation of the ideologies of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Mahatma Gandhi, and Ben Ami. Number 3. We believe and know that the prophets and messengers of the Holy Bible, the Holy Quran, and the Kemetic Holy Books were all black. Number 4, we believe and know that Jesus Christ of 2,000 years was and is a black man. Number 5, we believe and know that the knowledge of the Almighty Creator goes beyond books written by the prophets and messengers of the Almighty Creator. Number 6, we believe and know that in order to promote and coordinate unity, we must first recognize and accept the uniqueness of being able to worship our Creator, regardless of religious denomination, name, title, ritual, particular dress, or holy book, as long as it recognizes the Almighty Creator of the heavens, earth, and the universe as supreme. Number 7, we believe and know that it is impossible to tell the truth without exposing the wicked governments of the world. Number 8, we believe and know that the United States government, in collaboration with other European nations, have a denial objective to exterminate dark-skinned people of color off the earth through the act of genocide. Number 9, we believe and know that some of the most effective methods that are being used today are AIDS, birth control, alcohol and drug abuse, vaccinations, gang and domestic violence, systematic elimination of trauma centers, the public school system, and public aid within the black communities of America and the world. Number 10, we believe and know that the last trick that Satan is playing on us is the dividing of us by our religious differences, religious gangbanging. Number 11, we believe and know that the conflict between the various religions are comparable to the conflict between various street gangs within the inner cities of America. Number 12, we believe and know that the war on drugs and gangs is a diabolical plot to disarm the black community of weapons, break up the black family, withdraw our constitutional rights, also kill and incarcerate young black males under the undercover code name April 2029. And number 13, we believe and know that every letter, shape, sound, and numerical value contains esoteric information that completely transcends the specific contextual meaning of the word. Our purpose: to bring about the growth of a righteous community in accordance with the laws of the Creator of the universe, under the leadership and guidance of Brother Minister Raheem Quasad Oxen, to provide solutions to the social and economic ills that plague the communities of urban America. Our goal: to re-educate and retrain youth and young adults to develop positive moral values as an alternative to delinquent behaviors, because you can't rebuild a community and not rebuild the minds of the residents of the community to meet the responsibilities of maintaining the community's image. Our mission: to enhance the economic development of our communities by establishing businesses, real and personal properties, thereby creating jobs and/or entrepreneurship training programs that will reverse the concept of leaving the community to buying back the community. Our motto: let your light so shine before men that they shall see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Now we're going to recite our salute to the red, black, and green flag. Everyone put your right fist in the air and repeat after me. Here's to this flag of mine, the red, black, and green. Hopes in its future bright, Africa has seen. Here's to the red of it, great nations shall know of it. In time to come, red blood shall flow of it. Historians shall write of it, this flag of mine. Here's to the black of it, 400 million's back of it, whose destiny depends on it. The red, black, and green of it, oh flag of mine. Here's to the green of it, young men and women shall dream of it, face shots and shells for it, maidens shall sing of it, waving so high. Here's to the whole of it, colors bright and pole of it, pleased is my soul with it, regardless of what is told of it. Thanks to God for giving it, this great flag of mine. Please keep your right fist raised high in the air as we sing our Black National Anthem. Black power, Black power, Black power. Black power is the power to define, develop, and defend that which is in the best interest of Black people.
Greetings, Black family. My name is Sister Ebony Stevenson. I am coming to you live from the Toma Nation headquarters here in Chicago, Illinois, in the Grand Crossing community at 616 East 71st Street. Please feel free to join us here live or in person each and every Sunday at 12:30 p.m. as we continue to fight for the spiritual, physical, and mental liberation of Black folk here in urban America. I will be with you for the next 30 minutes, discussing my topic for today, which is seeding the future, Black generational wealth versus Black generational debt. Now, this is a very important topic for us as we look, in the media every day, and we talk about inflation and the high cost of living. You can't look on your social media without somebody doing a haul comparison about buying something like groceries or clothes and showing how much stuff cost a couple years ago versus what it costs today. There are so many people who are going to like Walmart and Aldi's and all these other stores and saying, hey, look what this cost me. I spent $100 on this, and 3 or 4 years ago, this would have cost me $40. And so when we talk about inflation, we have to understand that when something hits America, it always hits Black people harder because we're on the economic bottom in this country. And we have to understand that when we have these conversations about economics and wealth and inflation and debt, that we are always the hardest hit. So before I get into my lecture topic, I want to say it's kind of like a little inspirational, motivational for the next 2 minutes. I just felt it when I was doing this lecture earlier. I just felt it in my spirit that this needed to be said, especially with everything that's going on. People dealing with the aftermath of the shooting outside of the grocery store. And so just listen to this for a second. Do you know that when your mother and father were in the process of creating the awesome and amazing human being that you are, that your father released approximately 200 to 300 million sperm, but out of those millions of sperm, only 200 actually made it to the egg, and only one of those sperm fertilized the egg. So out of millions of possibilities for their future child, that one sperm beat all the odds and fertilized the egg that became you. Isn't that beyond amazing? That means that you were meant to be here. I'm talking to you, Black man, Black child, Black family. This also means that this version of you, the one that you see when you look in the mirror, was meant to be here in this time, in this place, on this planet. Your life has value and it has meaning. You were born to do great things. Do you know that the very fabric of your DNA connects you to this planet, and the Creator has bestowed upon you a birthright that nobody can take away from you? I said all of this to say that I know sometimes it can be absolutely depressing. We are constantly bombarded by the loss of Black life here in the US and on the world scene. All we have to do is look at social media on our Facebook, on our TikTok, on our Instagrams to see that Black lives are being lost daily, whether it's through gun violence, whether it's through disease, whether it's through these mass shootings where white folk are constantly targeting us, blaming us, and constantly talking about this civil war. And we've discussed this in our lecture, in plenty of lectures before. But I say this to say that don't let what you see on social media or mainstream media knock you off your journey. We have to understand that the only people on this planet that can save us and get us out of the conditions we find ourselves in is us. Last week, Minister Omari gave a lecture talking about the ship named the Guardian, who traveled to our orbit and to our planet to make sure that we are protected. As long as you have the blessing of the breath of life flowing through your lungs, you have the ability to do awesome and amazing things with your life. And don't let anyone ever tell you different, not even your own family. I said this to say that we have to understand that with the conditions that we find ourselves in urban America, we talked about the issue of mental health before, and everyone is still reeling from the shooting, and we've become so desensitized to violence. And so I just wanted to say that little piece that we have to understand that you're meant to be here, and don't let anybody ever tell you different. And as long as you have breath in your life, you can get out of the season that you find yourself in. So I just wanted to say that, and I pray that that message hits the heart and spirit and the mind of whoever needed to hear it. So back to my lecture, Seed in the Future, Black Generational Wealth versus Black Generational Debt. So I looked up the definition. I like to put a little, Google in there. And it's bad because Minister Myron was talking about Google last week. But I looked up the definition of seeding. And the definition of seeding is sowing, planting seeds in a place or an object. And a word that a lot of church folk are familiar with, sowing. Sowing is the process of planting seeds. Do you know that during the Atlantic slave trade, crops like sugarcane, West African yams, collard greens, okra, black-eyed peas, and rice were brought to the Americas by enslaved women who had braided the seeds in their hair, and other enslaved Africans who wore necklaces made of seeds? That means that our ancestors who survived the perilous journey of the transatlantic slave trade over 500 years ago brought over and sowed seeds that survived many generations that we continue to enjoy today as collard greens. I said as collard greens, I was actually thinking like collard greens. Like, who would have thought that, our ancestors brought over something like collard greens and black-eyed peas, these cultural foods that we continue to enjoy today, but that those were seeds that were sown by our ancestors. And even though seeds are very important, I just wanted to apply that concept of seed sowing to my lecture today. So because you can apply that same concept as ancestors sowed seeds that later generations were able to benefit from, it's the same concept of generational wealth. Where someone, or it would be better if multiple people in the family makes the conscious decision that they want their descendants to be better off than previous generations and be more financially stable. As a people, we got this notion that, in order, for us to be, Black, that, we got to hustle. Like, everything is about hustle and grind. Everything is about, getting out the mud. Like, if you didn't get your money from getting out the mud, working from the bottom to the top, then, you're not a real Black person. It's like all of these weird conversations and debates that we're having on social media about wealth. It's taken away from what we really need to be looking at, and that's the actual creation of generational wealth. And, you know, even when you look at the millionaires and billionaires of our community, the entertainers, the sports stars, you know, there's always this concept of, oh, I had to get it out the mud. You know, you got all of these rappers who are like from the suburbs, right? Drake. And they came from not inner city struggles, but they want that street cred. So they put out this image that, oh, they got it out the mud. That's how they got their money. That's how they got their wealth. That's how they built their businesses outside of media. And that's a bunch of nonsense. Let me talk to the parents. Would you want your children to have to always start at the bottom in order to be successful? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you, Black family, that every generation has to start at the bottom, which means they're starting all over, so we can never get a leg up because every generation is starting from the bottom? That doesn't make sense. And as long as we continue to perpetuate that reality, our families will never have generational wealth. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this. When we talk about wealth in America, for other races, we know how this planet or non-Blacks view Black folk. And when I say non-Blacks, I even mean that these views of Black folk, these negative views of us, have become so bad that it's what Minister Tahaka used to say about us becoming more European than the European, because we started to internalize as a people these negative images and negative thoughts about who we are, and especially when it comes to economics, because we're constantly bombarded by Jewish-owned mainstream media every day, because we know that this country, that this planet thinks that, you know, our lives don't matter, and they use us as tools for financial exploitation. You know, it's almost, and I talked about it earlier, it's almost representative of the slave trade, where almost every country benefited from the rape, labor, and exploitation of Black bodies, including our fellow so-called people of color. Now, in 2024, you know, we have this conversation about, you know, people who don't look like us are still benefiting from the exploitation of Black bodies, whether it's through the cradle to prison pipeline, sexual exploitation and sex trafficking, whether it's through gun violence, you know, the disease game. And I say gun violence because I remember, I believe it was Minister Rahim who did a lecture when he talked about how he knew somebody at the Cook County morgue, and they talked about the bodies, the constant Black bodies that pile up in the morgue, and what they do with those organs and those bodies, how they sell those off to the highest bidder. And so when we talk about, you know, the financial exploitation of Black people and the financial exploitation of our bodies, it's a continuing cycle that we find ourselves in from slavery. That includes disease. You know, we're almost the number one race in every disease category. And who benefits from that other than the loss of Black bodies? The health system benefits from that. All the doctors and the people who benefit from prescribing us the medicines, the pharmaceutical companies, everybody is benefiting off the exploitation of Black bodies. And that goes, and we even talk about human trafficking and organ harvesting. These are all things that Black people are facing when we talk about us still being a commodity. And let's not talk about our melanin and how that's being harvested and sold. I believe it was Minister Rahim who gave a lecture before about how much melanin was being sold for and how it was valued more than gold. And so, you know, when we talk about exploitation and it comes to finances, our very own Black Star Project here in Chicago did a study about how often the dollar circulates in the Black community. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. What do you guys think? Do you think it circulates in the Black community for 24 hours? Do you think it circulates in the Black community for 12 hours? Or do you think it circulates in the Black community for 6 hours? You are right. The dollar circulates in the Black community for an average of 6 hours. Now, let me give you a scenario, because I know sometimes when we say things like this, sometimes it's hard for us to visualize. We are visual people. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a mental scenario. Let's say it's Friday. You know, what is that song? Thank God it's Friday night and I just got paid, right? So you get paid on Friday. Either you get paid through direct deposit, right? Or you get a physical check. And for some of y'all still going in the currency exchange. Now, your money hits your account, right? And so, you know, you got all your state, federal, all the taxes take out. So you have your net pay. And so you're deciding, what am I going to spend my money on? You spending your money on these high car notes. You spending your money on the high cost of transportation. We spending our money on the high cost of rent. Rent is constantly going up. You know, we got people paying $1,500 a month for rent. And it's not subsidized rent that they're paying cash out of their pocket for rent, right? And then you go into food. We just talked about, you know, groceries, and the cost of food is going up. And think about how at the, not even the end of the day, but a couple hours later after you got paid, you looking at your bank account or your cash like, where did all my money go? So think about what I just said about that the money in the Black community only circulates for an average of 6 hours. Now, think about this in this visual example. Was your landlord Black? Did the grocery store you shopped at, were they Black? Were the car place where you played your car note, was it Black owned? Sisters, was the place you re-upped on your nails, your facials and your hair, was that Black owned? Brothers, where you bought these gym shoes at, was they Black owned? All of these places where we find ourselves spending our money, were any of those Black owned? And were any of those in the community? And if you think about that, and your answer is absolutely not one of those was Black owned, then you can see that every Friday or every other Friday or wherever you get paid, where you're spending your money, that if you are not making a conscious decision to spend your money with Black people, that money is going out of the community before 6 hours. And then we wonder why our children are out here committing this violence and doing all of these things, because I've said this before in lectures and in our events during Juneteenth, and even at our Yabapa meetings, that our children are the only children who we raise them to be good, keep their head down, don't make waves. And then when you get old enough, you know, you can get a job. But where do they go get these jobs from, right? We're the only people whose children have to go beg people who don't look like them to hire them. And then we wonder why Gen Z and Gen Alpha and my subgroup, the millennials, are pissed off and are so done with working these 9 to 5s. You go on social media, you see everybody talking about, should you submit a 2-week notice? What's the best way to submit a 2-week notice? You got Gen Z and millennials talking about, hey, that corporate America stuff that our parents and the people and our grandparents did, we ain't doing none of that. We would rather work a low-wage job and not have to deal with that stress. You know what I'm saying? Like our parents did, because they're not falling for the same system, because they don't believe in it. They see the cost of living that's going up. And so they're the agitators that's saying we're not going to continue to go with the status quo. And I said all of that to say is because when we talk about Black generational wealth versus Black generational debt, Black people have so much debt that is insane. And we're not leaving legacies of wealth in our families, we're leaving legacies of debt. And I'm gonna put it to you this way. So imagine you're a contestant on Jeopardy. I already gave you the answer, so everybody should get this right. Now, you know, like when you be on Jeopardy and you be like ready to like hit the buzzer. Now, imagine it's the end of the game and there's only one category left. And the category is what? Ding, ding, economics. And, you know, you a pro, so you hit that buzzer first. And you're like, hey, I'll take economics for $2,600. And then the question is, what race is the most in debt? What would be your answer? I already gave it to you. Yeah. Black people. This statistic just blew me. Black adults are more than twice as likely as white adults to have student loan debt. Now, what's crazy is that a lot of the debt that millennials and under have is, guess what? Student loan debt. I looked at this statistic that the average Black adult has $31,000 worth of student loan debt that they're continuing to pay off and pay off and pay off, that they never pay off. Can you imagine just you graduate college, right? And you follow what your parents said. Put your head down. Don't make waves. Just go to school and graduate. Get a job. You graduate from college. You can't get a job in your field. And this is so true for Black people, because this is how white America sees us. I remember I met a sister who was working at Walmart, and she had a degree in some like crazy science degree. I don't even remember. It wasn't like astrophysics, but it was a degree like astrophysics. But you was like, why are you working at Walmart, sis? And she was saying that her field was so specialized that the same people who she were interviewing with were the people who she used to go to school with who were racist towards her. Can you imagine accruing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, and then you can't get a job in what you spent all that time and energy and money on? But yet that debt doesn't go away. You have to pay that debt off. They gonna fine you. You don't pay that debt. You know the government gonna fine you. They're gonna try to take that money out your check. And so when we look at student loan debt being such a big issue as far as debt, that's number one. Guess what other debt that Black folks have a lot of? Take a guess. What's the thing that people usually look to buy when they graduate college? Cars and houses, right? We know Black people, we love our cars. I'm not one of them. I can live in a school bus and be happy, but it is what it is. But, we got to have the fancy cars. Like, I couldn't even tell you what the fancy cars are. But we're spending close to $1,000 a month in a car note. Our car notes are almost as much as our rent is. And so when you talk about, wealth in America, we equate wealth with home ownership. You already got student loan debt. Then you got your car note. Those are the things stopping you from being able to become a homeowner. Because when we talk about the rising interest rates, I talk about this. Who's most impacted? There's all of these stories about Black millennials, that Black millennials are in so much debt, and we are the generation with the most debt. So the boomers, the Gen Zers, Black millennials have the most debt. And it's insane because Black millennials started in 1981. So we're already parents. We've already had children. But guess what we can't afford? Houses. Because we have corporations buying up all the starter houses. And Minister Omari's lecture that he gave last week summed it up when he said, what was it? We won't own anything, but we'll be happy. And we have to look at that this is the reality that we're finding ourselves in. Because, if you don't believe what I said, you can look these things up on your own. Do your own research. Usually when people buy a house, they want to buy a starter house. And then once they get their starter house, as their family grows, they'll move into a larger house maybe later. But people who look like us, we can't even get a starter house, because in places even like Chicago, we have corporations that buy up hundreds and hundreds of houses at a time. And what do? They put them on the rental market. Those are those houses that you're seeing that are $1,800, $2,000, $2,500 to rent. I used to live in North Lawndale. When you're looking at people are paying $2,000 a month, for a 4-bedroom apartment. And it goes into this never-ending cycle of renting, and you'll never be able to own. And if ownership of land and ownership of property is something that is key to generational wealth, if we can't get access to it, what do we have? What was the other part of my lecture? Generational debt. Listen to this statistic. I always like to back things up by some key facts. And I know it's 12:52. I know I'm not going to get through with this lecture, but if you do like what you're hearing and you would like more information about this subject, please drop us a message on Facebook. There's a possibility that I could continue this lecture on Wednesday, but let us know if you would like more information about this subject. Now, while home ownership in the United States have increased to 65% in 2021, the rate among Black Americans lags significantly at 44% and has only increased at 0.4% in the last 10 years, and is nearly 29 percentage points less than white Americans. So white Americans are at 72.7% home ownership in America, and Black folk are at 65.5% home ownership. Now think about that statistic when it said it's only increased at 0.4% in the last 10 years. 10 years ago was what, 2014? What happened in 2008? Housing crash, right? So many Black people paid off their houses. You had, these banks and would send out, people to folks' houses who look like them. Some of them didn't look like them, knocking on their door and saying, hey, we know you own your house, but do you watch HGTV? Granite countertops are in, glass wall showers are in, take out a loan and upgrade the interior of your house. You can live in luxury. You already own the property. Just take out a second mortgage. And we were bamboozled. We took out these balloon mortgages and all of these other instruments that were not meant for us. And we have so many Black people that lost their properties, their wealth instruments, right? It used to be where if you got into a situation, let's say you got evicted or you got put out, right? You can go to grandma's house or auntie's house or uncle's house. They owned their house. They had the basement. Like, yeah, we got the couch downstairs. Come on, you can come crash until you get back on your feet. Those are what we call safety nets. We no longer have those safety nets. And so this is why when we go out of our doors every day, we see so many Black homeless people. And when I'm talking about this subject, I am talking about Black people. It doesn't matter what inner city we find ourselves in, from Los Angeles to New York to Chicago to Miami, that has a significant population of Black people. It doesn't matter where we go. We always see a high rate of Black homeless people. I remember I had the bad decision to take the Greyhound from Chicago to Atlanta. And we rode through South Carolina and riding through South Carolina, all we saw was Black tent camps of nothing but Black people living in tents by the bus station. Got to Atlanta, literally, and I promise you today, right now, if you go to the Greyhound station in Atlanta, you cannot get out the front door without seeing Black people sleeping in the Greyhound station or literally sleeping on the concrete outside of the Greyhound station. And this is why, because of what I said earlier, because of Black people being on the economic bottom in this country, and we've been forced so far below everybody else that even Latinos have a higher family net worth than we do. And look how long we've been here. The blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors are seeped in the very soil of this country, but yet we're on the economic bottom, and we have to understand that that's by design. I'm going to continue for this next 3 or so minutes that I have, but once again, like I said, if you would like a continuation of this lecture and want more information, drop us a comment, whether you're watching live on Facebook or on YouTube, or if you're watching the after video. So when we talk about creating generational wealth, in TOMA, we have prescribed readings. And usually the month of June and the month of August is devoted to economics. We read about Powernomics, we read about S.B. Fuller, and then in August, we honor Dr. Webb Evans for National Black Business Month. And here in Illinois, we observe National Black Business Month in honor of Dr. Webb Evans, who was the founder of the United Black American Progress Association. He was an author, business owner, and just an amazing person who spent his entire life fighting for the economic liberation of Black people here in America and abroad. And so when we talk about generational wealth and this concept of pooling our resources, it's something that we continually hear, but we don't really discuss what it is. And, you know, we have so many people who talk about this issue, but because we no longer have Black leaders, because everybody wants to be a leader and nobody wants to be a follower, we can never really get a leg up on all of these things that are happening in our community as far as economics and creating generational wealth. Now, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey encouraged the Black community here in America, even though he was from Jamaica. He urged us to pool our resources. And he showed, you know, the example of what that looked like through the ocean liners that they owned, through the grocery stores, the laundries, the millinery stores, the tailor shops, and they had a successful newspaper. His legacy was the epitome of pooling your resources, and he showed the greatness that Black people could do, not just here in America, but also abroad, when we came together as a united force and started pooling our dollars together. And this is such a key concept when we're talking about creating generational wealth, because we can't create generational wealth without pooling our resources. And I gave that example earlier of when you get your check, when you get paid and you spend your money, how much of that is actually spent with, you know, Black business owners. And so I only got 1 minute. So I just want to say thank you for joining us today. We're going to continue this lecture live here in person. But if you would like more information about this lecture, please feel free to drop us a comment live on Facebook or YouTube, or if you're watching the after video. I greet you in the ancient words of peace. Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Habaragani, Alafia, and Ashe. Peace, Black family.
For joining us for our weekly Sunday worship service. We invite you and your family to join us live every Sunday at 616 East 71st Street at our new time from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. and on Facebook from 12:30 to 1 p.m. If you have enjoyed what you have heard, please feel free to support us with a monetary gift on Cash App at $TOMANATION. Once again, that's $TOMANATION. This will conclude our live stream. The message you have been listening to will continue live here at the Toma headquarters. We thank you, Black family. See you next Sunday. Black Power.
This is the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent.
How many men have children and the children never meet their father? See, you created a void in that child because you are a part of that child.
Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power! Black power!